Hey, everybody, we're back in the shanty, and it's only been 2 days since we were last in the shanty. But we're back so soon because I told you the last time we got together, when it was beautiful and sunny outside, that we'd get back together really quickly if we heard anything from the Return to In-Office Work group. And we did today. They actually issued their recommendations today, and they issued their recommendations in a beautiful 8-page pamphlet called Return to Office Work Group Recommendations, which has beautiful photographs on the front of it of beautiful people working in beautiful offices, and they're all smiling and happy, or they're contemplating some, deep, dark accounting problem or whatever they're doing. Interestingly enough, each of the pictures shows an individual. They're not working together. They're individual pictures. But they're back. And we got a nice set of recommendations from that work group today. I don't usually editorialize about these things like this. So if you notice a little sarcasm in my voice, we'll just forget that and say it's not editorializing. The second page of the recommendation, after the cover page with the nice pretty pictures on it, the work group outlines their purpose. And they say this: the purpose of the group is to advise the administration on a phased return to in-person office work, taking into account the trajectory of the pandemic, vaccines, and mitigation measures, focusing on challenges and opportunities. And that, I think, is a brilliant purpose. As a matter of fact, it's exactly what we thought their purpose was going to be, was to do just that. In other words, the way I read that, the way I thought this was going to happen, was what we were going to get from this work group was a recommendation on steps we could take in a concrete order with a timeline to get people back into the office. It's not what we got at all. What we got instead was what I'm going to call a series of best practices covering physical workplaces, human resources policies, public health issues, and employee supports for when people are back in the office. In other words, not a timeline, not a series of things we had to do to get people back, more a series of best practices for when people come back to the office, and how we can be flexible, and how we can communicate, and what we need from MyOSHA, and what we need from MDHHS, and things like that. In other words, editorial number one, I don't know any more today than I knew 2 days ago about when and how we were going to get people back into offices, which is what I thought the work group was going to do, and I must have been mistaken. And if that's the case, I apologize for that. So that's not really good news, but fortunately, it's not the only news we got today. The governor also had a press conference. And in her press conference, the governor issued, as part of her press conference, she issued two kind of cool little, infographics. One's a talking point, one's an infographic, on a new initiative that she announced today, called the Vacc to Normal Challenge. The Vacc, that's cute, right? I wonder what PR firm came up with that. The Vacc to Normal Challenge. MIVACC to Normal Challenge. That actually does give us not a timeline, but a goal that we have to reach for when we can bring people back to work. And I want to talk about that for just a minute. It's a 4-step process, and it goes from where we are today to the ultimate goal of having 70+% of the eligible adults in the state of Michigan vaccinated. And how we come out of the restrictions from the pandemic depend on how many people in the eligible group in Michigan are vaccinated. That's what it does. There's one that's really important for all of you as employers. A lot of this might be important for you as citizens, but as employers, there's one. And that's step one of the Vacc to Normal Challenge. Step one of the Vacc to Normal Challenge says that the state will, quote, lift the state's requirements for employers to require remote work when feasible. Cool. What is step one? I'm going to read to you from the talking points to get us to step one. Step one happens 2 weeks after 4.5 million Michiganders, or 55% of those eligible, have received their first shot. So, 14 days after, 55% of everybody in Michigan 16 or older has gotten their first shot, not their second shot, not their fully vaccinated, their first shot. After they've gotten their first shot, the state is going to lift the state's requirements for employers to require employees to work remotely. Where are we right now today? What does that mean, Pelzo? What 55%? What does that mean? Well, right now today, according to the infographic and according to the vaccine dashboard, 48.8% of the eligible folks in Michigan have gotten one shot or more, one or more. 48.8%. So let's call that 49 just for round numbers because I'm terrible at math. That means we got to get 6% more of the adult population vaccinated. There's about 8 million people in the eligible population. As of right now, according to the talking points, about 4 million of them have gotten their first shot. We need about 500,000 more to go get their first shot, and we can lift that requirement. Okay? Here, there's a kicker, though. There's one kicker that I want you to be aware of. The governor also said, and the infographic says, that MyOSHA, remember, this rule is a MyOSHA rule. This work from home rule is a MyOSHA rule. MyOSHA can delay the implementation of lifting the requirement. That's an awkward way to put it, but they can stay, if you will, the ability for people to go back to the office if new cases remain above 250 daily cases per million population on a 7-day average at the date of the implementation. So let me put that to you another way. That's hopefully a little more clear. We get to 55%, 2 weeks pass. On that day, the cases are, let's say, 300 per million on a 7-day average. MyOSHA can say, wait, you still can't go back to work. Otherwise, if they're 150 per million on a 7-day average, back to work everybody gets to go. Okay. Now we know, right? We've got a goal. We know where we need to get. Now, again, this is based on the percentage of people in Michigan in the eligible population who have gotten at least their first shot. Don't ask me why the first shot is the important one and not fully vaccinated. I don't know, but that's what it says. Okay? After they've gotten their first shot, these numbers are going to start kicking in. That means it's going to happen sooner than if everybody needed to be fully vaccinated, because right now we're running at about 35% fully vaccinated. We're at about 48% with their first shot. But the governor also said that we're getting about 95 or 96% of the people that get the first shot actually show up and get the second shot. That's cool. Plus, the Johnson & Johnson is available in the state of Michigan again, which should ramp up the vaccination level again. That's cool too. So that's where we are. That's what our goal is. So what should you be doing now? What does that mean? Well, you might want to start talking to your employees about, hey, the end is in sight. We've got a goal for when we're going to start bringing people back, and communicating to them about how you're going to do that. And when you do that, don't forget, the only thing that gets lifted here at this step one, other stuff gets lifted as we go to step 2 and 3 and 4, to the ultimate goal of the gatherings and face mask order by MDHHS to be completely lifted and eliminated, unless there's another spike. That's what the infographic says. But there are other rules in the MyOSHA order, like screening rules and face mask rules and all of that stuff that you're still going to have to follow. Those aren't lifted by this number. Now, they may get lifted and they may get phased lifted as time goes by. We don't know, and we won't know till that happens. But at least for now, we know that when we hit that 55% number, 14 days pass, we get to start bringing people back to work. So you should start thinking about communicating with your employees about that. If you need help with that, you know where to get us. You know where we are. Give us a call. Thanks very much, everybody. That's what we got. That's a little good news maybe at the end of the week. We'll see y'all next time.